everyone, welcome back to my channel Tictastic. I'm Wilamena and this is day 11 of Ticmas. Wow, this is the penultimate day. Yeah, I'm actually kind of proud that I've managed to do it. Film a video and post one every day. So for today's video I'm going to talk a little bit about my experience with music and some examples of famous musicians who also have Tourette's. So let's get into the video. Music is a big part of my life because I have a scholarship to go to a school for specialist musicians. So music is a part of my everyday life. There isn't a day that I don't have something musical going on. So I play the cello and percussion, and I've been playing music for pretty much most of my life. The first instrument I started learning was piano at the age of 4, and ever since then it's just kind of continued. And I think one of the reasons that I really got into playing music and that I still do it is because of my Tourette's. Because most of the time when I play, my tics kind of go away, or they tend to not bother me as much because my mind is so focused on like this specific thing. So I don't tend to tic, which is really cool. Obviously this doesn't happen every time. Sometimes if I'm on my own in the practice room practicing, sometimes my tics will come back. Sometimes my tics will be there, and that'll sort of make my practice a lot harder. But most of the time, especially when I'm in orchestras or ensembles, my tics don't get in the way at all. And so it's kind of been my escape for most of my life. It's always been something that I can rely on, which is why I think I've concentrated on it so much, and I just grew to love it so much, and now I don't do a day without it. After talking to quite a few other people with Tourette's, I'm not the only one that finds this with music. There are lots of people who feel the same way about when they play a musical instrument. Their tics don't bother them hardly as much. Some people do it with other things, so I know someone who uses magic or like magic tricks. That's one of their main focuses. Lots of the time people do drumming, and that really helps people if they have Tourette's. And everybody has their own little thing, you know. Not every person with Tourette's plays a musical instrument. That's not what I'm trying to say at all. It's just that I know that I'm not the only one that finds this, that when I play, my mind is so focused and concentrated that my tics kind of go away. So I kind of wanted to talk about some famous people who are musicians but also have Tourette's. So the first one on my list is Mozart, the famous composer. So obviously because he lived so long ago, no one can be 100% sure, but it is definitely more than likely that he had Tourette's. And lots of people say that most of his compositions were influenced by his tics and his Tourette's, which I think is pretty cool. The next famous musician is Billie Eilish. So she also has Tourette's syndrome, and obviously she's a very famous singer, and I personally really like Billie Eilish's music. When she first started getting famous, she didn't really tell anyone that she had Tourette's because she didn't want to be known as, oh, that's the singer that has Tourette's, which is definitely understandable, because being labelled as that straight away could be quite difficult, especially as people don't always understand what Tourette's is. When she was in video interviews and things like that, usually what happens is when the camera crew ask the questions, they edit that bit out and they just have the celebrity saying the answer. So what she used to do was suppress while she was saying the answers, but then tic whilst they were asking the question, because usually that's cut out. But then one company didn't tell her that they weren't going to cut that bit out, so obviously she wasn't ticking when she was saying her answer, but then she was letting her tics out, and obviously most people didn't understand what they were, so they were like, hey, Billie's making funny faces, which actually wasn't the case. So in the end people started making like compilations on YouTube and stuff, so in the end she made an Instagram post where she basically told everyone that she had Tourette's, and she didn't tell everyone before because she didn't want to be labelled as that, but yeah, she has Tourette's. So I think that's pretty cool that someone like as famous as her has Tourette's. The next musician I want to talk about is someone called Nick Van Bloss, who is a pianist. And The Independent actually wrote an article, and this is a little bit of what they said. Tourette's is sometimes very real, and never more so in the case of the pianist Nick Van Bloss, who is defying his condition in the most dramatic way. Yet defy is the wrong word. The 38,400 tics he endures daily may once have pushed him out of concert life, but he's now discovered how to harness them to a point where their rhythms have become, at least in part, the key to his singular artistry. I've definitely heard of Nick Van Bloss before. I have listened to some of his concerts and things like that, and again, like, that shows 38,400 tics a day is a lot, you know. and the fact that he can still go out and perform in concert halls and play the piano so amazingly with such artistry. And it's nice to see how, you know, Billie Eilish is completely different. You know, she's a singer, she does something completely different to Nick Bloss, who does, you know, classical piano, but they both still have Tourette's and have this link to music. The next musician is Kurt Cobain, who was in a rock band, and he played the guitar and he sang, and he was the primary songwriter and frontman of the band Nirvana. Once again, another famous musician who has that link to Tourette's and has made a name for themselves despite of their condition. The next musician is called James Durbin, and he is another singer, and he actually finished in 4th place in one of the seasons in American Idol, along with being the lead singer of the band The Quiet Riot from 2017 to 2019, I think. And he had Tourette's syndrome and Asperger's syndrome. The next musician is someone called Michael Wolff, but he also has Tourette's syndrome, and I'm pretty sure he's a jazz musician. It's such a shame that doctors don't know enough about Tourette's or why it happens or about the part of the brain that it happens in to know why there's such a big link between things like music and Tourette's, because I find it so interesting. And please let me know in the comments if you have Tourette's and you also play a musical instrument. For some strange reason, it also helps with tics. And if you have Tourette's and you're not currently playing an instrument, well, go do it, because why not? You never know. You might become your escape and you might turn out to love it. And if you don't have Tourette's and you don't play a musical instrument, sorry, this video probably wasn't very interesting to you. I just find it so interesting because of how much of an impact music has had on my life. It's obviously had an impact on quite a few other people's lives too, for them to have taken it on as a career, even though they have Tourette's. So I hope you liked this video. I hope that you learnt something new that you didn't know before you started watching. So thank you for watching, and I will see you tomorrow for the last day of Tikmus. And yes, let me know in the comments if you have Tourette's and you also play a musical instrument, because I'd love to know. I'll see you tomorrow. Bye!